Welcome back, everybody. Derek Sue, your East Oakland advocate. Well, today I'm going to do a 4-year look back at what happened to me 4 years ago. And I'll start out by saying it was an incident. I was arrested for brandishing my weapon, my gun. I was doing this to preserve safety and also preserve my own safety. I was confronted by a gang who was also using their pit bull as a weapon of intimidation and also inflicting injuries upon people in my camp. And I went over to shoot the dog because that dog had bitten several of my residents, and it was in the process of killing one of my residents' dogs at the time. And so I ended up pointing the gun at them, not realizing that of what I was doing until I was reacting to them. One of the people in that gang say, "You shoot my dog, we're going to kill you." So an automatic reaction would be you repoint your weapon to the now threat, and which is what I did. Once I had them in my sight, then all of a sudden I realized, oh shit. And so anyway, that started a journey that here's the most important thing for you if you're ever in that situation. My gun license, my federal firearms license requires me anytime I draw my weapon from my holster to report that to the local authorities, and which is what I did. Normally, gang members and criminals don't call the police, and I have to. So I went back to my shelter. Yeah, they're not going to call the police, and so I did call the police, and then yeah, like I said, it started a whole string of things. And but what I ended up finding out was that one of the gang members who didn't have a warrant and wasn't wanted actually made a call not 7 seconds in front of my call. And the theory is in law that whoever calls 911 and makes the report first, they are the victim. And so in this case, the criminals became the victim. They knew that loophole in the law. And so I ended up being arrested, even though I was a legal gun owner and in legal possession of that OPD officers and the area sergeant who knew me and knew that I carried. Said, we're just going to take you out of this situation right now and let things cool off, and then you can come back. Well, I knew that was a lie, because the moment I stepped foot out of here as in their car, my place was going to be up in flames. I'm pretty sure if it wasn't flames, it was going to be destroyed. So anyway, long story short, the legal system doesn't work for the average person, the normal person. And let me tell you, I am highly educated in the field of criminal law, gun law, and constitutional law. A lot of my training comes from Quantico, Virginia. Most of you should know that name and who goes to Quantico. That was part of my DOD training, and I was there for 2 years. And so I am highly educated and knowledgeable in criminal law, gun law, and constitutional law. So anyway, moving past that, I finally get to Dublin's holding right there, Santa Rita. And this is about 2:30 in the morning. I finally get in there, get a bunk, and then the lights come on at 6 o'clock now. So yeah, and so things are going along okay. And you know, one little incident which was interesting. Right after breakfast, somebody in the cell, one of my cellies, in this case, there were approximately 50 people in this cell. 50 people. I mean, it was stacked and packed. Everybody was on double or on bunk beds, and they had, I mean, it was packed, and there was one bathroom, 2 toilets, 2 urinals, for up to I think the largest holding cell was about 50 people, and this was all. We were wearing blue and orange, meaning that we were not dangerous. We were kind of minimum security and not to worry, because the next one up, those were the ones that were violent or had committed murder. And so those had a lot of guards over there. And so we were mostly pretty low level, minimum security, and very little goes on there. But anyway, finally get to a point where Monday rolls around. I go to court. Court didn't get to me that day. And the transfer was horrible. Also, the other thing is that I have a medical condition. I'm a senior with a bag. Yeah, with a colostomy bag, and they weren't set up for that. They should have had me in the medical unit and not in Gen Pop. Yeah, they put me directly in a Gen Pop with a bag. I'm carrying biohazard on me. So anyway, get to court on Tuesday morning, and same thing. But the judge at least hears me, and so finally we get to day number 5, and the judge says, "Okay, you can." They kind of tiring of bring me back to and from Santa Rita for this is now the 5th day, and out of 2 of those days, my colostomy bag had issues, and so it caused court delays with that. And the judge understood, and he's just shaking his head at the sheriff's department and asking questions. But anyway, neither here nor there. But finally, we get to a point, and the judge is hearing for whether to keep me in custody or to allow me a very low bail. And then they did a background check on me and told the judge he has nothing in his background, no arrests, no detentions, not even a parking ticket. And the judge asked, "Did you cover all 50 states?" And they said yes. "Did you cover all of America's territories?" And they said yes. And the judge looked at me, said, "Mr. Sue, you are one lucky person, but I am going to go ahead and grant your OR, your own recognizance," meaning that we are relying on your word that you will return to court each and every time and any time we ask you to. I said, "That's not a problem." And so they asked for a place where I'll be residing, because that was one of the conditions. I had to be indoors, and I had a friend who would do that for me. So anyway, finally got released, and the only thing I can say is that I was really disappointed in the previous district attorney of Alameda County. they threw charges in there that were, I can really see were asinine at best. They charged me for my weapon, and then they also said that that weapon wasn't registered to me because of my DOD classification, that I was in possession of federal property. And so, that was one of the things that they added as an enhancement. Then um, they confiscated 3 of my weapons, and while I only had one in my possession, they were also charging me with multiple weapon carry charges and concealment of weapons. And I said, no, I have a license for that. But again, that was not to be argued. And so I got the OR, and the thing is that the public defender that the court gives you, they're terrible. They're usually very overwhelmed with work, and then they're not very good. The one that I had initially, he was pretty good, but I only had him for one hearing, unfortunately, and then he left the public defender's office, and so I no longer had a person on my side. Instead, they reissued my case to another public defender, and what can I say? She was okay. She was still new at this, and she didn't know her job very well. But what she did know was what Nancy O'Malley teaches everybody: get a plea bargain, get something, get them convicted of something, anything. That's what they do. There's so many cases in Alameda County that the courts are overwhelmed, and so they plea bargain a lot of these down. And the plea bargain, unfortunately, gets people time that they should not be serving, because that was all my stupid public defender kept pushing. Well, they've got a year on you. These are all the charges. This is what it adds up to, and we haven't added the enhancements yet. And I mean, that's all she could say. How much time can you do? That's the only question. It wasn't, are you guilty or are you not guilty? And she said, how much time can you do? We're looking at 1 year to start out with right now. I can get you down to 6 months. I mean, that's all she kept doing. We say, you're going to be doing time. You're going to be doing time, buddy. You're going to be doing time. There was no hope of me being innocent. And I'm just looking at her very frustrated. And the only thing that kept me from getting really ugly was that there was a piece of plastic between her and me. And I'm just shaking my head. I said, lady, you are not listening to anything I'm saying. And I just kept telling her, let's put it before a jury. I want a jury trial. That's all I kept saying all through that. And then we get down months later, because the court started playing this game to see if I would fail to appear. Have you heard that term before? Fail to appear. And so they played a game with me for a month. Once a week, I had to check in with the court, which was every Tuesday at a certain time. And if I wasn't there by that time, the court would issue a bench warrant for my arrest. And this is where a lot of people fall down. I played that game. I knew what was coming. I know what they're doing. And that's another way that the court sets you up for failure. This is one of the bullshit games that they play. So be aware of that. They're going to play games with you, even though you are either out on bail or, like me, OR, own recognizance. And you have to show up and be there. Be sure to be there early and make sure that you're clean and ready. have all the necessary documents that you need, and check in. So this is how our people are treated, and unfortunately, our young folks have no idea what their rights are because they're not educated. They're not staying in school. They're not getting the proper educations that they need. I myself, I had above and beyond education besides the public school system. I had my grandfather. My grandfather was a deputy sheriff and also a translator for the Alameda and San Francisco court system. And so I learned a lot from my grandfather, him being in law enforcement directly, and he carried 2 weapons on him all the time. And then I had uncles that were also in law enforcement or deputized and were authorized for carry. So I learned a lot from my uncles who worked law enforcement, who worked special operations in the military, who are worked as Green Berets even. And so our justice system doesn't work. I want to give Pamela Price an opportunity to see what she's doing. I know she's really rocking the boat right now. She's overturned a lot of things that Nancy O'Malley put in place, reduced sentences on certain crimes and certain things here. But also, we don't know all the backstory on everything. And I do want to give Pam Price some props. I have worked with her in the past and even made recommendations to friends for her to represent them. And so I have a lot of faith in Pamela Price right now. Let's see what she's going to do. We got some high-profile cases coming up, and still some that are being adjudicated right now. And so, again, we got to make some changes. The justice system doesn't work for a lot of people, especially those that don't know their rights and their constitutional rights like I do. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.